To go with the one city, one night travel theme that I set upon for this trip, I have only the next 6 hours in the location Ipoh. Now, every second counts. Good morning to a bright and sunny morning in Ipoh. Okay, I just got out of my hotel. Now, cross the road. Just a few years back, as early as 2015, Ipoh Old Town was still a quiet town. Travelers would call it a laid-back town with cafe, traditional coffee shop, and food and flourishing street art. Other than that, not much was heard of the old town other than from the intrepid local and regional travelers. Then, in 2016 July, when Lonely Planet listed Ipoh as one of the best Asian destination out of nowhere, after that, Ipoh started appearing in other news articles and catapult itself into the international fame. Talking about the old town of Ipoh, one cannot help but to mention the Concubine Lane. The old town charm of Ipoh encapsulates in the Concubine lanes within the many lanes in Ipoh. Without going too much into details, a local mining tycoon in the 1890s gave 3 lanes with houses by the lane to his 3 wives as gifts. Each of his wives would collect rents from their shops in her own respective lanes. So there's the wife lane, the concubine lane, and the second concubine lane. Where I'm in now is one of the concubine lanes, the second concubine lane to be precise. I visit this lane at 8 AM in the morning, well before most busloads of tourists are here, or rather, they are still having breakfast somewhere else. I love how tourist-free this lane is right now. There are only 2 things to see or do in Old Town Ipoh. One is to soak up the old atmosphere in the UNESCO Old Town. And second, to savor good food that Ipoh is so famous for. I'm on my way to the train station to secure myself a train ticket. It's a pretty nice walk here with a very nice scenery. Behind me is the State Mosque building named Masjid Sultan Idris Shah II Ipoh. The mosque was completed in 1968 and could be classified as modern architecture. This is Ipoh train station. One of the most beautiful train stations in the entire Malaysia. Very colonial style. So I'm here trying to secure a train ticket back to my next destination. Where? I'm not too sure myself as well. Let's see what's my option when I'm at the train station counter. The Ipoh railway station is a Malaysian train station located at the southwestern side of Ipoh and named after the capital city of Ipoh, Perak. It is officially opened in 1917, affectionately known as the Taj Mahal of Ipoh by the locals. I am at the Ipoh railway station not to admire the beautiful architecture building. The only reason here is to try my luck getting a train ticket from Ipoh to Kuala Lumpur later on in the afternoon. Hello, is there a train ticket to KL today? One person. Huh? 3:30. Oh yes, 3:30. Yes, that's my choice.
Okay, can I get your IC or passport?
Passport.
Yeah.
So I just got my ticket at 3:30 p.m. Okay, thanks. Thank you. Bye bye. So I've done my checkout of this place and I leave my bags here. Okay, hopefully in a few hours time the bag is still around. Okay, check out. Now I still have another 2 hours before I need to leave for the train station. One cannot miss a string of very chill cafes and eateries before going into Ipoh's very famous Concubine Lane. Just clusters of eateries consist of cafes and restaurants side by side with each other, creating a very symbiosis relationship with one another. Taken all together, it is not difficult to see why these clusters of cafe will not be famous. It has this very aged exterior, purposely kept untouched by age. and without much touching up on its exterior. At some parts, even plants and vines cross on its walls. Walking aimlessly, I was somehow led into a small lane, equally chill with crawlers and vines. I'm not sure if the alley is part of the cafe. This place almost looked like a maze to me. And before I know it, this lane opened up to an old coffee shop. The Concubine Lane is the most busy amongst the 3 lanes today, with shops, restaurants, and even a boutique hotel. Most shops in the alley are new, around a couple of years old. Some of the old houses are restored to what it used to look like in the old days. In its old days, this alley used to house brothels, gambling den, amongst all the legitimate shops. In the present days now, it has all the souvenir shops and eateries. The Concubine Lane is probably the most touristy old street in the entire Ipoh. Just the next alley running parallel to the Concubine Lane is the second Concubine Lane. Unlike the Concubine Lane next door, the second Concubine Lane, or Market Lane as it's called, does not have much shops. I love this street more than the Concubine Lane because I do not feel the pressure from people behind me wanting me to walk faster. While there are no shops for me to look into, I like immersing myself into this old lane. There are just occasional wall murals and some art installation to make me think about life itself. I own my time here when I was walking along this lane, and not to be coerced by people behind me wanting me to walk faster and faster. The colorful umbrellas hovering overhead are unique to this lane only.
A la República Dominicana, la casa del merengue y la casa de la bachata. Voy a cantar esta canción con mucho cariño de mi corazón. A la República Dominicana, la casa del merengue y la casa de la bachata.
With no malice intent or whatsoever, my personal favorite is still to look at the old town that is not restored or just mildly restored. To me, the Concubine Lane is just too restored for my liking. I would like to see more of a living old town when local people get on with their lives. I'm now walking from the old town to the new town, crossing the natural divider of River Kinta. The river behind me separates Ipoh city from the old city. Okay, so that's the old city and the new city. So this is the natural divider, which is the river behind me. So now I'm heading into the new city from the old city. Ipoh is the state capital of Perak State, Malaysia. And the state capital, Ipoh, is unofficially split into two parts, the old town and the new town. As its name suggests, the old town is where the old shop lots and heritage buildings are situated, while the new town is home to the newer developments and shopping malls. Given how famous the old town is right now, I just find the old town now become too famous for its own good and now it's become seriously overrated and overcrowded by tourists. The new town, nevertheless, which is across the Kinta River, offers just as much old back alleys that has outgrown trees from buildings. The development of Ipoh New Town begins around 1907. Although that is still a long time ago, it is still newer than Ipoh Old Town, which is established in the third quarter of the 19th century. My default mode of transport in this old Ipoh city is still by foot. That enables me to get closer in touch with what I see on the ground. Gerbang Malam, literally translated to the Night Gate Market of Ipoh, is located at Jalan Dato Taubil Azhar in Taman Jubilee. It is a vibrant marketplace that comes alive every evening with the cacophonous exchanges of buyers and sellers. I'm there at Gerbang Malam during daytime, despite the fact that the night market has not started operating. Gerbang Malam at daytime has got a lot of famous Ipoh food stores operating out of the coffee shops there. Ipoh is often compared to Georgetown, Penang. Both have street art, culture, hawker markets, and old architecture. In my experience, Ipoh is much quieter and far less touristy than Penang, in terms of foreign visitor at least. That actually adds to Ipoh's appeal. Moreover, there's something totally unique about Ipoh that I'm still yet to find anywhere else in Malaysia. For locals that is born and raised in Malaysia, Ipoh is somewhat described as the KL of the yesteryears. This is the clock tower of Ipoh, and there is a row of shophouses, or rather restaurants, right in front, serving mamak food. I am back at the old town Ipoh. As a key tin mining town in colonial times, Ipoh is full of British influenced buildings that reflect past glories and affluence. This impressive clock tower is a perfect example. Nested in a serene garden, Birch Memorial Clock Tower adds a layer of unique European flair to Ipoh. The clock tower is quite close to the main train station and occupies a huge space. This signifies the importance of the clock tower to the city. The design of the clock tower is in sync with the architecture of the surrounding place. Hello, I'm back to the train station again, this time with my luggage. So now I'm leaving Ipoh, yep, for my next destination, KL. I came in 1 hour before the train schedule, hopefully trying to take a look at the platform, but unfortunately, I got this. Okay, so the gate is only open like 10 minutes before the train departs. So no choice, just have to wait at the lobby, just like many other people. Yep, I'm here. So now boarding the train. A, B, C, D, E, F. Let me see. D. 15B.